What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Tonight, we are here for another Underdog draft stream. You guys know every Wednesday we hop on here, we draft against some of our subscribers, some of the people in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, that's where we drop those links. So, yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. You guys know the deal already. We don't got to waste too much time. Now, I do see that we are just waiting on one more person to fill up this draft. So once we get that one more person in here, we will go over to our draft. But if you guys are not familiar, we keep this very casual, very low, low kind of maintenance for the most part in a draft like this. We just shoot the shit and talk some football. That's really what we do, draft a football team. So we have the draft full. Let's go over to the draft board right now. We have it here on the screen. And here we are. So, as you guys can see, we are going to be drafting from the 10 spot. So, the 10 spot is where we're drafting from today. That is going to be our draft selection. Now, I want to know if you guys are in the draft with us. If you are also, let me fix this camera. I just realized I was a little bit to the side. If you were in this draft with us and you are watching the stream, let me know in the chat, man. I want to see who's in the chat. I want to see who's here. I want to see the people we are drafting against tonight. So I see we got Jake in the chat. Jake says, what's good, Andrew? We got Yo Bro. He says the GOAT. So appreciate you being here, man. Let's see what else we got here. I just noticed, too. We got Matt. Matt says he does or didn't make it, so it's unfortunate. Let's see if we can fix this, though. We did have this fixed for the most part. I think that should be good. We should be good here. Yo Bro says me either. Jake says pick 10's a sleeper. I don't know why that's not popping up. There we go. But yeah, man, that's where we're picking from tonight. So as you can see, we're from the 10th pick. Now, I also noticed that later in drafts, this pick specifically, pick 10, this is kind of the pick where I'm getting left out in the dark a lot. Now, I know Jake said that pick 10 is a sleeper. I feel like I'm getting left out in the dark because there's a clear, 7, 8 guys that I like. I like the CMCs, the CeeDee Lambs, the Tyreeks, the Amon-Ra's. You got the Justin Jeffersons, the Bijan Robinsons, the Breece Halls. You got all of those guys. But A.J. Brown is pretty much the last guy that I love there at that 10 spot. You can get him there sometimes. Sometimes you have to start looking at the Puka Nacua, the Garrett Wilson, the Jahmyr Gibbs, and I feel like that's the tier break for me. So that's kind of where we're going to be drafting from today. Now, as you guys are familiar with, the news or I guess the vibe that we have sometimes when we do this is we just talk about some of the news. Now, news that came out recently is wide receiver DJ Moore for the Chicago Bears. He recently got a bag of money, and we're talking about he got 4 years, $110 million. So new extension, another wide receiver, probably not the wide receiver that we were all waiting on. The wide receiver we were waiting on is Brandon Ayuk, but that is the guy. And here you go. Somebody went Garrett Wilson earlier, so we get A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is the pick for us. He's going to be the last in that tier for me. So that's going to put us there. I'll bring the draft board back up, but yeah, man, DJ Moore got some new money. It's some pretty solid money too for the wide receiver position. I don't know if that's something that's been talked about for a while now, or if that's something that they've recently started working on once they saw the wide receiver market start getting pushed, because lots of guys got new money this year. I was looking at a stat the other day about wide receivers specifically targeted towards the CeeDee Lamb contract extension, and saying that Dallas waited too long because just a little while ago, they were able to only have 4 wide receivers that were making more than $25 million a year annually, and now it's a lot more than that. So the Cowboys, they're kind of waiting on CeeDee Lamb, and it's not working out for the most part. Now, I am going to take Jahmyr Gibbs here. He is one of my guys. That is going to give us Jahmyr Gibbs and A.J. Brown to start the draft, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I see we got Bowtie in the building. He says here, and dressed to impress. So I appreciate you being in here, Bowtie. It means a lot to me. Now, let me just resize that. Scribbles says, people were really hating on Moore before this. Couldn't even get a single 25 first for him. Wild. Yeah, man. I mean, people were. And actually, I've been on record this season saying that I don't love the redraft value of DJ Moore currently. But at the same time, It's a lot of guaranteed money. It's a lot of money that's going to be coming in for DJ Moore, and it's the long-term connection of DJ Moore and Caleb Williams. I think it just further cements him and Rome Odunze as the number 1 and the number 2 there. So that is something that in your dynasty leagues you have to take account for. Now, Jake also says lots of guaranteed money. Absolutely. And Coleman says, why do you got to take Gibbs the pick before me? Well, look, he was the best player on the board. So, I want to draft that guy. I'm a big Gibbs fan. And there we go. So that's why he was taken off the board for me. But we're not going to be back up till the 34th pick. We got a couple more picks to get around the turn, and then we'll work our way down into the 3rd round. But what I want to do is kind of go through some of the other headlines, some of the other news blurbs that have come out over the last couple of days. One that came out yesterday, it does seem like, I think it was yesterday, wide receiver Roman Wilson, the rookie wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had a scare. Supposedly he got hurt in practice, was taken off on the cart. They looked at him, said it's an ankle injury, most likely a high ankle sprain. They're kind of classifying him as week to week. Sounds like he's going to miss some time, probably not play in the preseason. And that's unfortunate, man, because I feel like Roman Wilson was set up to have some opportunity right in front of him. We're talking about George Pickens in that wide receiver room, and then really nobody else for the most part. Now, I have been on record talking about how much I like Pat Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth is a value currently in drafts because when I am looking at tight ends, I want to get a tight end who can be probably the second best wide receiver or the second best receiving option on his offense at minimum. I want to have a guy like that because those guys put up fantasy football points. We've seen that time and time again from those types of wide receivers and those types of tight ends. I keep calling them wide receivers. They're basically wide receivers, right? Just big wide receivers at this point. So Pat Freiermuth, he is going to be a guy that I am targeting heavily in my drafts because he's going to have to be used in this receiving game, especially because Arthur Smith, he loves to use the tight ends. I think that's somebody that they're going to be using very often here in Pittsburgh. So keep an eye on him. Roman Wilson going to miss some time. I also mentioned in a video not too long ago that you could watch Van Jefferson and you could watch Calvin Austin in your deep dynasty leagues or just leagues in general that are going to be very deep. Those guys are maybe worth a last round dart throw in best ball. Maybe. I mean, maybe we do that today. Probably not. But, crazier things have happened. Now, as you guys can see, we're kind of working our way around. We're going to get back to our pick here in a second. And just looking at the board, nothing crazy happening. I mean, we got a little bit of a value on DK Metcalf here, a little bit of a value on Malik Neighbors. I like DK. I like Malik Neighbors, but at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of shares of them in these best ball drafts right now. We'll see kind of who comes up. But I've started doing this new strategy just recently. Not that it's something that I'm willing to stamp as the best strategy yet. I mean, I've just started trying it as of late. I probably have 6 to 8 drafts under my belt where I've started just attacking elite quarterback in the 4th or 5th round, depending on where we get to a tier. I think it's the 4th round. We're actually about to be in the tier. So I started attacking the elite quarterbacks, seeing how those teams turn out, and they're not too bad. Now, Scribble says, can Arthur Smith offense support multiple pass catchers? I think so, man. I think it can. I think Arthur Smith gets a bad rap. He was a very solid offensive play caller for the the Titans for a long, long time. So I think he gets a bad rap. He's probably going to be better than people give him credit for. Now, right here, we are going to take Stephon Diggs. He's kind of a guy that I think is going to get a lot of targets here in this Houston Texans offense. A good offense. They're going to score a lot of points. Maybe that's Diggs. Maybe it's not. But I'll rather take him right now. I have him over Tank Dell in my season-long rankings currently. So we'll take him, and then we're kind of getting into that range here. So there are some guys that I like. Now, I'll walk you through this range because this is where I feel like is one of my least desirable ranges of players in fantasy right now. Now, right here in the 4th round, you're going to have guys like George Pickens, who I don't mind. You have guys like Travis Etienne, who I'm higher on, T. Higgins. And then outside of that, like this is about it, man. Like there's not a lot more that I love in this range. So we just had Pickens and Etienne come off the board, guys that I talked about. So we could go T. Higgins, which he is probably going to be my pick here. Now, this is kind of that range where I started going with the wide or the quarterbacks. So I've been taking Jalen Hurts. We could have took Jalen Hurts and stacked him with A.J. Brown. That's something that we could have chased. You could have took a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes if you wanted to. But because T. Higgins was still on the board, I would have done it. But look, if I was at this 404, this 405, 406, now I'm probably looking at the quarterbacks because I feel like they just give you a more a larger positional advantage than what some of these wide receivers like Zay Flowers and Christian Kirk and Terry McLaurin are going to give you in your lineup. Now, if you wanted to do the same thing and you wanted to kind of go the same route and go with the tight end position instead, you can, but because these underdog drafts are not tight end premiums, it's a little bit less desirable, I think. So you go after the quarterback that has the rushing upside, a Josh Allen, a Jalen Hurts, or just a guy like Patrick Mahomes who's going to throw for a ton of touchdowns. That's what I like to do in this round right now, currently in the fourth round of these underdog drafts. So you guys see right now we got Jahmyr Gibbs, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and T. Higgins. I'll go back to the large draft board, and you can see as soon as I start talking about it, we start seeing these quarterbacks come off the board. Allen, Hurts, Lamar, and Sam Laporta. So it is definitely a strategy to use right now. And excuse me, my voice keeps cracking, and I feel like my throat hurts. So give me a second. I'm going to get a drink of water. How about now, Anthony? You said I'm muted still? I think we should be good now. Are we good? We're good in the chat? I think we are. I see my mic volume. Um, but I wanted to say, let's go look at Pat Freiermuth. I'll go back. Now, looking at Pat Freiermuth, you see where he's being drafted in drafts right now. He's coming in as tight end 14, and that is so late in your drafts. Are we still muted? Are we still muted? My microphone is showing that it's recording. All right, I see we're good. I see we're good. I see we're good. I see we're good. So we're good. Maybe there's a little bit of a delay here. Now, going back to the Pat Freiermuth, golly, Pat Freiermuth, he's a guy. He's so late in drafts. He's about as good of a dart throw as you can throw at the tight end position. That's what I was really trying to say. I appreciate you guys for letting me know that we were muted and all that. Apologize. I guess I just didn't hit the button when we came back, but we're about to be back up on the clock here. We had the quarterbacks come off the board. We had some of the tight ends come off the board. And now we're getting into a range where I have started to have an auto pick in this round every single time. And I'll let you guys know who it is once we get there, because I know some of you guys, especially you, Anthony, are drafting in this draft with me. And I don't want you to snipe my pick. So there are some guys that I've been drafting heavily in this round. And there is one guy currently that I do like on the board currently as well that maybe is going to make me change my opinion. But let's see what we can do here. We got one more pick. There is a guy on the board that I love that is falling. Stoked. We'll see if Stoked can do it. But we'll see. Scribble says he's fine with Pat's price. And he didn't go. So here we go, man. I love Dalton Kincaid. That's a value on Dalton Kincaid. I would have considered him last round. But now we get him here. So this gives us Dalton Kincaid, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and we kind of passed on the elite quarterback, so now we're going to get the elite tight end. That's kind of the trade-off that we had there. Now, there is another player. This is not the player that I was talking, or the player that I was talking about is not the guy that I drafted. The player that I was talking about is still on the board. So I want to see what Saul Goodman does. I want to see if he leaves us the guy that I want, because here in this late 5th, early 6th, I think the best thing to do, especially in best ball, is take a shot on those. And Saul, you better not be waiting out the clock to hear what I got to say. is take a shot on those wide receivers in Kansas City. And the guy that I like the most is Rashee Rice. Look, everybody is scared. Everybody's been scared of the Rashee Rice suspension, potentially legal stuff. It seems like every day that this goes by and nothing happens, that it's just going to be delayed. There's a very decent chance, I think, that Rashee Rice doesn't serve a suspension in 2024. And we are getting a discount on him currently right now. So Rashee Rice, he's a guy that you should be more than comfortable drafting. If you're getting him at a discount, you need to be scooping up that discount, because when he's on the field with Patrick Mahomes, he's proven he's much better than where his current ADP is. So he's one of my favorite picks right now. We even got him a little bit behind ADP, only a couple spots, like 3 spots, but not too bad. He's one of my favorite picks right now. I'll pull this board up. We got a question here from Hunter. Hunter says, unrelated to the draft right now, but how are you liking the reports from McCarthy in camp? Well, I'm glad you bring it up, man. It sounds like, to me, honestly, everything that I've been seeing, everything that I've been hearing, it sounds like this competition is closer than I thought it was going to be. And not that I thought that J.J. McCarthy was going to be a bad quarterback, or not that I thought that, Sam Darnold was going to be a great quarterback, but I felt like the plan with a guy like J.J. McCarthy, where we knew he was a little bit more of a developmental guy, it seemed like they were going to take things slow, but it sounds like McCarthy's been playing so well in camp. Just the other day, he was getting some work with the ones, from what I heard. He threw 5 touchdowns in 6 drives. Sounds like he's been really, really good in camp. And I want to pump the brakes about that just a tiny bit, because I know that we want to talk up the young rookie quarterbacks. We want to make them feel good, and that's probably part of what they're doing. But I've seen some of the highlights. He's been playing pretty well. Now, there's been some other stuff on the timeline, like some interceptions and things like that. Fine. Nothing crazy. I think take everything with a grain of salt is what I'm saying, but sounds like things are going well for J.J. McCarthy, and I like to hear that he's kind of pushing Sam Darnold as potentially the QB1, because I would like to see J.J. McCarthy play sooner rather than later this season. So that's definitely something that I want to see. Now, Coleman says, okay, guys, time to start taking the draft seriously. I was holding back to make y'all look good. All right, fair enough. Scribble says, people are freaking about Xavier Worthy video today of him being pushed over against press. Yeah, and you could also show somebody 7 videos of him over the last 2 days of him burning somebody and getting a long touchdown from Patrick Mahomes. So it's like I said, take everything we're seeing out of training camp with a grain of salt. But Hunter says, agreed, I'm from Minnesota, so I've been listening to a lot of things, and it sounds like he's doing great and progressing way faster than expected. And that's what you want, man. I mean, you want that out of the franchise quarterback, the future franchise quarterback. And I agree with you here. You said I still prefer that he sits a little bit. I agree. I've been saying this offseason that I kind of preferred the bye week to be the natural switch for J.J. McCarthy, but you say week 6. Look, I don't mind. We have a very tough opening schedule. Maybe hold him out of that, but once it gets a little bit easier, it starts to lighten up, I'm all for throwing J.J. McCarthy in and seeing what we got. Now, we did have Kyler Murray come off the board. He's one of my favorite elite quarterbacks that you can get later, because a lot of people are iffy on him. Now, looking at the QB position, I think I'm willing to wait just a tiny bit more. We already have our tight end. What else is on the board? What do we like? I think for the most part, if you want to go at the wide receiver position and you want to go heavy, I like a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison here. If you want to grab one of these running backs, you can, but I think we'll go a little bit heavier. I'll take JSN. We'll see what happens there. He's not going to have the correlating bye week, so it's a different bye week. It's unique here. We get that strong wide receiver room of A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, and JSN. And then later in the draft, we're going to be able to sprinkle in a ton of running backs. So the way that this one has naturally fallen to us is kind of going in the direction of a hero running back build. So that's kind of what we're doing here. That's the natural progression of things, and that's the way that this one's going to happen for us. So we'll see. I think we might even just double down one more. We'll probably just double down one more here. And I'm looking at potential stacks. We can't get Hurts. We can't get Stroud. We can't get Mahomes. We could get a Geno stack. We could get a Joe Burrow stack. Do we potentially want to go Joe Burrow stack? I don't mind it. I think because we are going that hero running back, we can go with the Joe Burrow stack. So we have Burrow, Gibbs, Brown, Diggs, Higgins, Rice, JSN, and Kincaid. So a lot of the top receiving options that we had, they have the high-end quarterbacks. We missed out on those, the Hurts, the Strouds, yada, yada, yada. Even Josh Allen for Dalton Kincaid. But I think we're cooking, man. I think we're cooking with some gas here. This is a good roster so far. We'll go back to this big board, let you guys kind of see how that develops and get back to the chat. Now, what do we have here? Scribbles says, Kyle Pitts is the race of Falcons camp. The drum beat is loud. He looks athletically like he was as a rookie. I'm so in. I know a lot won't invest because they feel, let's expand this so we can see more of this. Here we go. How about we just do this? How's that? Kyle Pitts is in the race. Huge season incoming with Kirk. Yeah, look, man, I agree. I think a lot of people are going to feel burned with Kyle Pitts, and probably rightfully so because he has burned a lot of people in the past. Now, I do think that Kirk Cousins is going to be very beneficial for Kyle Pitts because you look at how Kirk Cousins has used his tight ends in the past. I mean, we're talking about guys like TJ Hawkinson, who was the tight end 2 overall last year, or not last year, in fantasy points per game last year. This is a guy who's fed the football, and I think they're going to feed Kyle Pitts as well. He's always kind of done that for the most part. Now, I don't think that Kyle Pitts probably deserves to be in that top 5 discussion, but he is definitely the first guy in that, just outside of that tier, that I'm willing to invest in. Now, Coleman says, I got my Josh Allen, Keon Coleman stack, and I'm fine with that. Not a bad stack. Especially because Keon's last name is sick. There you go. Well, we are about to be coming back up here in a second. I want to kind of look at this running back room. Now, I know we got people that are drafting with us in the chat, so you guys are kind of going to see the strategy here. But we got a lot of guys in here really now that we're not super comfortable with. So it's going to be a shotgun approach, take a ton of them and hope that every week you get plugged in for your running back too. I think the reality is we probably can add 2 more, maybe 2 more wide receivers on this roster and be done, like with the wide receivers on the roster, period. So that's kind of the plan there. Now, if we were going to add another guy right now, there's a couple guys that I like on the board that I think can at least get utilization or at least get a lot of carries this year. Whether they're going to be good or not, TBD. That's why they're being drafted in this range. But let's go back to that running backs. We'll look at them. One guy specifically that I want to take a flyer on, and it's going to make a lot of people upset, I think. Well, never mind, because Stoked just did it. It was Tony Pollard. I was going to talk about Tony Pollard. But look, we can go in the same direction here. I'm going to try and grab 2 guys in this range. The first guy that I want to grab in this range is going to be we're going to grab Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary, he's going to get a lot of usage with the Giants. We don't know how good this team is going to be. The reality is they probably might not be that good in general. But Singletary, he is the lead back. The competition behind him right now is a guy that I like in deeper Dynasty leagues to throw a dart on, Tyrone Tracy Jr. But outside of that, there's really nobody else. So he's going to get usage. That's just the way it's going to be. And I wish Saul would let me get Chase Brown on the way back around because that's what I wanted to do. But it sounds like we're not going to do that. There are 2 guys still that I'm willing to draft, though, and I'll show Saul my plan here because these are the 2 guys. Tajay, Benson, and I do like Corum as well. We'll kind of make a decision amongst those guys. But 2 of these guys I think can be – there we go. Benson is likely going to get more work without injury. So I will take Benson there. Now, let's see. Hunter says oh, wait. We got something going on in the chat. Hold on. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Where are we at? Scribble says, would you consider a dynasty trade of Keon Coleman and a 26 first for CeeDee Lamb and Laporta collusion? I'm not a veto guy, but damn. I mean, look. Oh, man. I mean, look, everybody's saying it's the worst trade of all time, 100% collusion. We got a lot going on here. Keon Coleman and a 26 first for CD and Laporta. Here's my issue. Obviously, horrible trade. Absolutely horrible trade. No debate that trade is one of the worst I've seen in a while. Collusion, though, you have to have proof that it's collusion. And that sounds terrible to say because that type of trade should not be something happening in your leagues. But this, to me, doesn't necessarily sound like a collusion. Obviously, I don't have a ton of context, but it doesn't sound like a collusion issue. It sounds like a league mate issue. You have a league mate who doesn't know what he's doing, and maybe you shouldn't be playing with that guy, because if things like that are happening in your league, especially if it's a money league, then you have a real issue. Now, if it's a free league, that might be part of the issue as well. You know, those free leagues, a lot more crazy stuff happens than the money leagues. So we'll see. I guess give me some more context, but at the end of the day, I don't think you can prove that it's collusion unless you have text messages or something about them colluding. And if you can, then yes, veto it. If you can't, horrible trade. Deem it up as a horrible trade. So here we go. Damn, dude. I'm sorry that happened in your league, because that's awful. Now we got some guys on the board right here. Jared Goff comes off the board. You have Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Trevor Lawrence. That's an interesting tier of quarterbacks on the board as well. Jaden Daniels just comes off the board. Now, I do think, let's see. Anthony says Corum RB1. Spencer Rattler is going to take Derek Carr's job. I like Spencer Rattler, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100% Hunter. There's not much more to it, but there we go. Hey, look, man, I know we have some people in here. We have a like goal today of 25 likes on this stream. So if you guys have been watching and you haven't liked the video yet, just hit that like button for me. It's the best free way to show this channel some support. We do have a goal there. Help us hit it, man. I want to see those likes go up a little bit. Now, with Hunter's question here on the board, he says, I think a hot topic is Nick Chubb. Thoughts? My thoughts are draft Jerome Ford right now. I think Nick Chubb, I'm rooting for Nick Chubb. I can't draft him confidently. And an underdog right now, I'm not really comfortable drafting him either, especially because I don't know if he's going to be healthy week 1. Now, he might prove me wrong. We'll see. But he worries me, man. Now, here we are. We're back on the board. We have some running backs. Now, I'm willing to take a shot here on... We'll probably take a shot here on... Actually, here. Let's do this. I talked him up. We're going to get our backup. We got the elite. We got Pat Freiermuth. We're done here. We don't need to draft another one. Forget about it. And then we'll start really attacking this running back room. Another guy that I was looking at would have been like Zach Charbonnet, but I don't feel super confident in him. I also liked Rico Dowdle, but we're up in a couple picks again. Austin Eckler, I feel okay drafting him as well. I like Jaleel McLaughlin. There's lots of guys in this tier that I'm okay drafting, but we'll go with one of them here at this next pick. Jermaine Burton off the board, Trevor Lawrence off the board, and we're going to be back up here in just a second. Let's see. Coleman says, you say, as I just drafted Nick Chubb. Couldn't have said this like 2 seconds sooner. Sorry, brother. I think there's a little bit of a delay, so I might have said it in time. But yeah, we'll see. Hunter says, feels like the whole year he will just be splitting. Ford was productive with the ball enough that they won't force feed Chubb. If Chubb gets hurt again, Ford will solidify as RB2. Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. I think Ford actually starts out the year as RB1. That's my opinion. But we had Dowdle come off the board. We had Eckler come off the board. So I'm going to reach down the board a tiny bit and grab a guy that I have conviction in. It's Jaleel McLaughlin, man. I made a video the other day where I was talking about handcuff running backs, or guys you could draft as handcuff running backs that had league-winning upside or really high upside at the running back position. Jaleel McLaughlin is one of those guys for me. Now, I'll give you guys the cliff notes kind of to that video. If you haven't watched it already, I strongly suggest you go watch it. There's a lot of good information in it. But the Jaleel McLaughlin part specifically, you look at how Sean Payton has used his running backs in the past. You look at how he used his running backs last year. And Jaleel McLaughlin, obviously an undrafted rookie, he comes in, earns the trust of Sean Payton, kind of gets a bigger workload. It kind of trickled up and up and up throughout the course of the year, and he got to like a high of like 26% snap share. Not great. But you think about this year, a lot of the drumbeat coming out of Denver has been that It's an open competition. There's a lot that is up for grabs in that running back room, and he's kind of leaving it up to these guys to determine who gets the playing time. Now, Javonte Williams, he's still the guy that I think is going to be the RB1 in this offense, but I think McLaughlin will be a lot more involved this year. And when I was talking about the usage of Sean Payton and how he uses those running backs, it's the fact that last year they were getting the running backs on the roster received a target or were being passed to 32% of the plays. That is the most in the NFL. They were throwing the football to the running back position more than anybody in the NFL last year. Now, I do think that Bo Nix, he's going to be a downgrade in efficiency probably for the offense. Russell Wilson, as bad as people want to talk about him being, they actually were still a pretty decent team. They actually performed pretty decently for fantasy football throughout a decent part of the year. Now, I do think that McLaughlin is going to be the better pass catcher. I do think he can see a lot of PPR points. And if Javonte underwhelms, disappoints, doesn't win the job out entirely, it could just be Jaleel McLaughlin and maybe an Audric Estime. Audric Estime, he doesn't have any pass catching chops either for the most part, so it's still going to be Jaleel's job. I think his role's safe, and I think he's going to see a lot of footballs in the pass catching game. So that's kind of the cliff notes, I guess, for Jaleel. I guess that was maybe even long-winded. But let's see, what else do we got here? Yeah, I meant he will be a solid RB2 play in fantasy. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were saying that he was going to be the RB2. So there you go. Coleman says, I really like Dowdle, not just because I'm a Gamecock fan. I think he has potential. Rattler falls in the camp too. Yeah, I like Dowdle too. I was considering him the last pick, but he went right before. People investing in Dowdle, like we said, Scribble says it's wide open in Dallas. Anything can happen. So that's the idea that you have to roll with. Now we do have not a lot left at the quarterback position here. We probably need to get our backup quarterback here in a second. Musgrave comes off the board. I think we're going to end up taking a shot on I'm going to take a shot on one of these running backs. I'm debating Kamani Vidal or Chuba Hubbard. I think I'm going to go with Chuba, though, because I just know he's going to get more reps to start the year. We know Jonathan Brooks has the injury. I'll take him. We do got a lot of Week 11 buys, but if Kamani Vidal comes back around, we'll probably draft him. If Algier, Wright, or any of these guys, really. But we also do got to look at that quarterback position, and that might actually be where we go because we had Kirk Cousins come off the board, Rodgers, Geno. That's kind of the last of what I feel comfortable in at that QB position. Maybe a Baker Mayfield, but I think what we'll end up doing is probably just take one of these QBs. Now, with that said, we could target a stack here if Saul will let us with Geno Smith, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Geno. We'll get the Jackson Smith and Jigba stack here with Geno Smith. So we also have the Joe Burrow stack. The bye weeks, they don't cross over. We should be good to go. Now, what is this little news? Not getting first team work. Well, not a surprise to me, to be honest. Let's get back to the chat here. I see we have a couple things here. Anthony says I sniped the Hubbard pick, so apologize for that one. Hunter says Zeke is toast. Like Texas Roadhouse toast. That thing is always too crispy. Scribble says, I heard someone say if Judkins' juke move was as good as the NCAA 25, he'd be 101 Superflex startups next year. He might be 101 in Superflex startups next year. Not startups. In rookie drafts, though. He might be the 101 in rookie drafts next year. Just saying, the quarterback class ain't that good unless you like... what's his name? Why am I spacing his name? Shadur. If you like Shadur or Carson Beck or one of these other guys. But I don't know. The running back class next year is good. Probably being facetious saying that he'll be the 101. But his juke move is pretty damn good in NCAA. Scribble says waiting late on running back and grabbing Hubbard and Ford is a nice move in these underdog drafts. Absolutely. Hunter says Chubba Bubba. So, look, man, we got some Chuba fans in here. I like it. Now, let's kind of see what we got because Jalen Wright's still on the board. Probably need to grab... We're done with the QB. We can just get those out of here. I mean, we can go with just running backs and wide receivers the rest of the way. Probably go with 2-2. We got 4 rounds left, I think. Yeah, 4 rounds. So we'll go with like a 7-7. Anthony says Carson Beck, quarterback 1. You're a Georgia fan though, so I don't know if we can fully say that. Coleman says Carson Beck looks like Ed from Ed and Eddie. I do not like him. We'll see, man. Like I said, that class is very up in the air still, so we'll see what happens with this class. But we're about to be back up. We kind of got to keep going at this running back and wide receiver. I'm okay taking some shots. I think what I'm going to do is we'll probably double tap the running back position at this turn, and then we'll get our late round dart throw type of wide receivers because that wide receiver position is so strong. So as I say that, I'm almost certain that Anthony will probably draft a running back. I'm almost certain that T1D is going to draft a running back. We'll probably have some guys in here drafting running backs now that I said it. And he didn't. Anthony, are you going to do it to me? Yeah, he did it to me. That makes sense. But I think what I want to do is we have a lot of 11, so we have to avoid week 11. That's for certain. I don't have a lot of Kendre Miller shares. Now, I don't love Kendre Miller, honestly. The news coming out about him isn't great. And I don't love a lot of these running backs in general. But I think what I'm going to do is for this first one, we'll take Antonio Gibson. Just because PPR upside maybe eats into the Ramondre receiving role a little bit. Also lack of weapons, so somebody has to step up, and we've seen Gibson be somewhat valuable for fantasy football before. Not saying he's going to do it this year, but Kendre Miller comes off the board. He probably would have been my next pick, but I do think for this last one, I'm going to take a shot, and this is likely going to be the call that I make here because I do think I have a video coming out tomorrow. I was talking about this a little bit, where I do think that Khalil Herbert is likely going to either one, win the RB2 job over Roschon Johnson this year, or if he doesn't win it, he's going to be let go or traded and moved to somewhere where he can be a running back, maybe a Dallas, maybe somewhere like the Los Angeles Chargers, where they need to bring in some extra work. So I like taking that shot on Khalil Herbert late because DeAndre Swift, he hasn't been healthy. If Khalil Herbert wins the RB2 job, you get an upside there. If he doesn't, you get a guy who maybe gets cut and moved on to a new franchise and maybe find some more value there as well. So Khalil Herbert, I like taking the shot on him here. He'll be the pick. And that does leave us with this running back room of Jahmyr Gibbs, Devin Singletary, Trey Benson, Jaleel McLaughlin, Chuba Hubbard, Antonio Gibson, Khalil Herbert. Now, I know, doesn't sound great. It's not sexy. It's not going to win any awards for best looking in class, but it might get the job done. And that's all I need. That's all I need. I just need them to get the job done because we got some Joe Burrow. We got some Dalton Kincaid. We got some good wide receivers in A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, JSN. I think we're going to be okay. And we'll see what we put on the icing on the cake right here at the wide receiver position. We'll see what happens. But let's see. I am going to say right now, if you are watching the stream and you are drafting with us currently, this is for you guys. Put your underdog name in the chat. I will favorite them. I will like them so they're put on the side. And at the end of this stream, in 2 rounds, we'll go through. We'll talk about the teams of the people that are in this draft. So if you're in here, put your underdog name in the chat. I will save it, and we'll talk about those rosters. Now, Scribbles says, did y'all see that Sleeper added a feature to hide usernames in trades? No more having to black out manually. Yes, I saw that, and I actually put an announcement in our Discord today because there's actually a lot with that update that's under the radar. Maybe it just makes my life easier and nobody else really cares about it, but I love it because they put the league settings in the upper right-hand corner. So when I do trade review shows in Dynasty or when I do things like that, it's going to show me in the top right corner 10 team, Superflex, tight end premium, PPR, yada, yada. It'll show me all that stuff. So I know the context right on the screenshot. You can hide the names if you don't want to be, exposed to the public. That's fine with me. It doesn't look ugly like the scribbles do. The scribbles look ugly. But it's a good update, man. I love the update. It makes my life easier. It's a good update for me. Now, hopefully you guys start using it in the Discord. And I will say, we're not going to do another trade show until next month. We got the team previews coming out. So we're going to do a big trade show for the next one. I want you guys to throw a bunch of trades in there. Hopefully we'll try and get like 15 to 20 trades reviewed in the next episode. I see Coleman. He put his name in the chat. Says he might be the WOT. We're going to be up on the board here. And we got to go right to that wide receiver position. And holy hell, it is ugly. But I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to invest in an offense. I think the Cardinals' offense is going to be better this year. I'll take a shot on Zay Jones. Maybe he gets some touchdowns this year. Maybe not a lot. I know it says he's working with the backups. Michael Wilson looks to be the guy. But, hey, Zay Jones, good offense. Take a shot on some touchdowns. He's been a touchdown guy a decent amount of his career as well. So we'll shoot there. And there's one more guy specifically that I will take a shot on as we close out this draft. Possibly. Let's see. I'm going to do the scroll down. Everybody says you don't scroll down enough. I'm going to scroll down, and I don't like what I'm seeing here. I don't like what I'm seeing one bit. Yeah, as I expected. This is all horrible. Jalen Naylor has been looking really good in camp, supposedly. But we will go. Sorry, that probably was loud in your ears. I will go with Jalen Hyatt. Big playability. Was drafted highly. Now gets Malik Neighbors to take some of the coverage on the other side. Doesn't have to see number one corners. We'll take the shot on Jalen Hyatt. Scribble says that's the what looks ugly. What did I say looks ugly? I don't remember what I said looks ugly. Oh, the scribble. Yeah, the scribbles look ugly. They definitely look ugly. Maybe not you, Scribbles. I don't know. Look, we never seen each other. Maybe you're not ugly, but the scribbles on those trays, they look horrible. And I hate the way they look. It makes me actually angry deep inside, and it shouldn't, but it makes me angry. Scribble says, I know. What did I do? You didn't do nothing, brother. You didn't do nothing. You're here. You're great. Probably a beautiful person. I love you. Now, Coleman says he likes Hyatt. I don't mind the pick. It's a dart throw. It's a dart throw. Do we have anybody else in chat here, though, that wants to get their team talked about before we hop on out of here? I know we got some people in the chat. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me and Coleman. If it's just me and Coleman, I'll talk about our two rosters and get the hell out of here because I want to go get some dinner. So we might end up doing that anyways. Let's look at the team, though. Here's my roster, and this is what we're looking at. We got, picking from the 10 spot, we went with a 2-7-7-2 type of build. Hero running back is what it ended up being. We punted the running back position deep and took a shotgun approach, but we loaded up on the wide receivers and an elite tight end. You got Joe Burrow and Geno Smith here at the quarterback position. Running backs, you go Jahmyr Gibbs, Devin Singletary, Trey Benson, Jaleel McLaughlin, Chuba Hubbard, Antonio Gibson, and Khalil Herbert. Now, wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Jones, and Jalen Hyatt as dart throws for the last two. And then Dalton Kincaid and Pat Frymuth at the tight end. So overall, that is the roster. Not a lot of bye week correlation except for week 4 where we have those 11 guys. But week 11 might be rough for the running backs, but that's about it. Now, let's go look at Coleman's trade, or Coleman Kramer's. I don't know why I just full named you, brother. I'm sorry. We'll go look at his roster. Coleman says 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 9 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Very unique build. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Drake May. You get Breece Hall, Rashad White, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman Jr., Jaden Reed, Keon Coleman, Jacoby Myers, Gabe Davis, Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, and Greg Dortch. And then you got Evan Engram and Luke Musgrave. Do we got any stacks? We got the Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers stack. We got the Keon Coleman, Josh Allen stack. And for the Patriots, did we get anybody? Nah, we didn't get nobody. But that's okay. I like the team, though. Not bad. Running back, you probably could have done one less wide receiver, one more running back. Now, Victoria says, I think all non-Vikings fans are ugly. Not necessarily true, but I like you a lot more if you're a Vikings fan, that's for sure. We also have Anthony. Anthony wants his team reviewed, so let's go look at his. Anthony's team I keep saying Anthony says like I'm reading a comment. We got 3 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. I'll pull your comment off the screen. That way people can actually see. Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, J.J. McCarthy. Now, Victoria says, why isn't future MVP J.J. McCarthy on your team? It's because he's on Anthony's team. So Anthony has him. And Anthony says sitting pretty on my roster. So there you go. That's why. Isaiah Pacheco, James Conner, Blake Corum, Jerome Ford, Tyrone Tracy, and Audric Estime, they're at the running back position. Then you have Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Lad McConkey, Rome Odunze, Jamison Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Andre Yoshivash. And then you got Brock Bowers and Dalton Schultz. So not a bad roster. It's a young roster. I can tell you played Dynasty a lot, Anthony, and I love it. All in all, very solid. You get the Cleveland stack with Jerome Ford in the passing game with Deshaun Watson. Good value on Deshaun Watson. Do we have anything else here at stack? Maybe a Philly stack anywhere? Nah, that's the only stack, but that ain't bad. I like it. One more person. I saw we had one more person here. Saul Goodman wants his team reviewed. We got Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins. This is the same build as us, 2772. And he actually did what we did as well with the, looks like a hero running back for the most part. Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Chase Brown, Tajay Spears, Rico Dowdle, Kendre Miller, and Dylan Lawabe, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, Amari Cooper, Curtis Samuel, Jermaine Burton, Jalen McMillan, and Jalen Tolbert. And then you got Jake Ferguson and Cade Otton. Feels very similar to the roster that I built, and so by default, I like it. Was able to chase a couple stacks, I think, right? I remember you having a stack on here. Is it the Indy stack? No, you didn't have the Indy one. Atlanta stack? Nah. So no stacks. That's fine. You don't need a stack to be successful. But I do like the roster. And I actually love the value on Travis Etienne. Going hero running back and grabbing Etienne is almost an even more advantage than what I did with Jahmyr Gibbs, because I think Etienne is going to perform very solid this year, and you get him like 2 rounds later, even 3 rounds later sometimes than where Jahmyr Gibbs is going. So I like it. Let's see. Coleman says, my team's rough. I took a 3rd QB in case Aaron Rodgers breaks himself again, but man, it's a tough sight. I think the team was fine. I didn't think it was horrible. Scribble says that Geno JSN stack is sneaky. Let's see. We'll go back over here. What else do we got? Anybody? I think that's about it, right? Geno JSN stack is sneaky. Wanted to do one more running back, but every running back was comfortable taking. I was comfortable taking. Got sniped from me. See, we got Shane in here. Late, but still in attendance. I appreciate it. But that is it, guys. So appreciate you guys hopping in, drafting with me today, talking some football. I was going to talk more news from training camp, but we ended up just talking draft strategy and some of the other stuff. So it ain't bad to me. Let me get this. Oh, don't need the closet door in the back. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys hopping on. I was going to talk some more training camp. We didn't get to it. We just talked some football. That's fine. Talk some fantasy. Now, here's the thing. Tomorrow, I do have a video coming out. It's a little bit of a different video. So if you guys could just watch it, let me know what you guys feel about the video. I'm going to release. It's already recorded. It's already scheduled. It's a Hall of Fame game preview. We'll talk about the Hall of Fame class, the guys being inducted, deep Dynasty gems that you should be watching in this Hall of Fame game, why you should be watching them, whole 9 yards. I spent a lot of time editing it, trying to get the production up to see what it would look. Here's the thing. It's been hit and miss on YouTube right now, so I said let's get real creative and try something new. So that's what I'm doing. Hopefully you guys watch it. Hopefully you guys like it. If not, whatever. Doesn't matter. I enjoyed making it. Now, I do also want to say, with that being said, we are now starting to do 7 videos a week. This week is the first week that we are doing 7 videos a week. So we have consistently been doing these Wednesday underdog drafts where I come in, we hop on with you guys, we talk some fantasy, we draft a team. We are going to be doing that also on Saturdays now. So we're doing Wednesdays and Saturdays. So if you didn't get into this draft, you want to get into the next draft, which is on Saturday, go into the Discord, hop into the Discord, and I drop the links in there. It's very easy to join. If you haven't signed up for Underdog Fantasy, if you sign up using the link in the description, the link in the top of the comment section, It gives us a little kickback. It helps support the show, and it gives you some bonus cash. You can get up to $250 in bonus cash. So really a win-win for you guys, a win-win for us, and helps everybody involved. We get to draft together. You guys get some free money, and we get some kickback from Underdog as well for being a partner. So if you guys could do that, if you haven't done it, appreciate you doing that for me. Would mean the world. And one more thing that I wanted to bring up as well is just make sure that you guys are subscribed. I have another goal that I think we should try and get, and it's a little bit of a lofty one here. So the lofty goal here is I want to get to 3,000 subscribers by week 1 of the NFL season. Now, I get it. It's not that far away, and we are probably 400-ish subscribers away, maybe 300-ish subscribers away. I can't remember off the top of my head. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching this, help us reach our goal. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 3,000 before week 1. We're going to speak it into existence, and I promise you, in return, you're going to get good content in your subscription feed for the rest of the year. Redraft, Dynasty, Best Ball, all that good stuff will help you win a fantasy football championship. We got some people in the chat tonight that I know we helped win a fantasy football championship for them last year. So good group of people, like I said, in that Discord, in here, on this channel, all that stuff. With that being said, though, we'll get a couple more pieces in here. Yoshi been tearing it up in camp. I've seen it. Jordan better show out. He's in the video tomorrow. Scribble says cool stuff. Shane says this channel is goated. Wish I could subscribe twice. Anthony says he checked his watch. Yeah, brother, it's an Apple Watch. It's got the date on it, man. It's not just the time. We're in the 21st century, brother. You can do whatever you want on your watch. I could watch the Hall of Fame game on my watch tomorrow if I want. So leave me alone. But with that being said, guys, I will see you on the next episode. Hopefully you can draft with me on Saturday. But until then, we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.